Assalamu alaikum, I'm Javed Khan Jadoon. Welcome to English edition of the forum. Let me first introduce today's topic and the panelists as well. First, the panelists, we are joined by Major General retired Zaid Mahmood, Defense and Security Matters expert. And we're also joined by a Marshal retired Saeed Khan. He is the expert in regional security matters. We will be discussing the upcoming Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which is being held in the Chinese city of Tianjin from August 31st to September 1st. But first we talk about before we talk about the SCO, let us talk about the devastating floods which are wreaking havoc in Pakistan in general and in Punjab in particular. Floods have been caused by torrential monsoon rains, and also as India on Wednesday opened all gates of major dams in occupied Jammu and Kashmir following heavy rains and warned Pakistan of the possibility of downstream flooding as well. Punjab at the moment is on high alert as rising waters on the Sutlej, Ravi and Chenab threaten downstream areas. Upstream water levels and near-full reservoirs could trigger further flooding in the coming days. Over 200,000 people have been displaced in Punjab, and authorities have called out Army's assistance in rescue and relief efforts after torrential rains caused major rivers to swell, inundating villages and displacing a large number of people. As I mentioned, over 200,000 people have been displaced as the facts given, the stats given by the chairman of the National Disaster Management Authority. And now, if we look at the relief and rescue operation, Pakistan Army is conducting large-scale rescue and relief operations in the flood-affected areas. More than 20 camps have been set up with support of the civil administration. Pakistan Army is carrying out, as I said, large-scale relief and rescue operations, taking a large number of people to the safer places. This is the situation, as you know, that whenever there is a natural disaster, it is the Pakistan Army which ultimately comes to the aid of the civil administration, and of course they play a very key role in relief and rescue operations as well. Let me first go to Major General Zaid Mahmood. General Zaid, being a soldier yourself, it is so critical that Pakistan Army plays a very important role when there is any kind of a natural disaster in Pakistan in general, and in particular when Pakistan is affected by floods. And this time around, we have seen that floods have been devastating, more than 200,000 people displaced, and several marooned as well. So Pakistan Army is carrying out the relief and rescue operations, which is, of course, in collaboration and assistance with the civilian administration as well. How you look at the situation, General Zaid Mahmood? General Zaid?
Alarming situation, and these unprecedented rains and weather change is really impacting Pakistan. And as you already mentioned, this has been, there's an addition of the way India has opened these gates. Though they try to warn Pakistan, but probably considering the present environment, and they have also added to the miseries and problems of the state. But anyway, Pakistan military is a national military, and in the past as well, Pakistan military has been playing, especially Pakistan Army has been playing a key role in helping their own people. And as you know, that the military plate is already full. There's a huge deployment for the security purpose. The same India in military domain also creating Pakistan by using their proxies. And now this water is this is an additional aspect which is being catered for. Although there is a lot of deployment going on in spite of the heavy flooding, and the areas are always increasing, more areas are being affected, and these are unprecedented rains this year. probably Pakistan Army, although they already have a lot of plans, they have the internal security plans in which they have their flood schemes, their areas are distributed, they are very well organized. But due to huge deployment in Balochistan and, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, this time there's a lot of burden on the army as well. And they're using their own resources. They have already donated their, probably 1 day salary plus the Russians, whatever is possible to help their own people. Javed Sahab, we need to understand that this is the role which a national army plays. But this has to be, there should be a quid pro quo response, a positive response from the nation. There should be a recognition. The way these military elements are participating in these operations. There are certain elements within our society also who always, try to critique, do a critique on these operations, which is very demoralizing. I'm not saying that this is an extra duty which they are saying. I'm saying this is the national army. This is their responsibility.
Okay.
We have been serving in the military for so many years, and whenever we are called for the internal security duties or for such disasters, once we were deployed, it used to be a great matter of pride and honor for us. And it used to be a matter of a great satisfaction of us that we are helping our poor people, because in these disasters, mostly the poor people, those who have, not very good economic conditions, they are impacted the most, because their whole life has been spent to make things together, to make their houses, to gather their, they face a lot of logistics problems. So
General Zayed, it is an extremely difficult operation given the level of waters flowing down the rivers, particularly Sutlej, Ravi and Chenab, and of course the upstream water coming down into Pakistan as well. So such operations in such conditions are considered extremely dangerous and extremely difficult operations to conduct the relief and rescue operations.
Yes, of course, we have, meager resources, and, this is especially the urban flooding. Urban flooding has its own dynamics because there's, electricity cutouts, then there are, more hazards. And these, in Pakistan, you understand that the houses are very small, and there are not many houses which are in the lower areas of those where they are situated. So probably there is a multiple, problems are being added. And then there are, all of a sudden you start receiving many emergency calls from various areas. So you move troops to one place, and then all of a sudden you get another alarming call. So you need to, organize yourself extremely carefully. And that sometimes dissipates your resources. Sometimes it puts a lot of pressure on your, even the rescue operation logistics are under a lot of challenge. But Pakistan Army works in great coordination with the disaster management authorities, the provincial authorities are, the federal authority. But most probably, in most cases, it is the provincial authority which needs to coordinate with the military. But as you said, that these operations are really very challenging. On the face of it, it is very easy to say, and it's very easy to say that Pakistan Army has moved. But the kind of stress these soldiers, these officers, they undergo, because they are seeing things on ground, on the front. Normally we watch things on the TV or in the news, or we listen about, but on ground things, or you can say that you can multiply it with 300 times the impact. And, so that's why this is a lot of important. And then again, other than the logistics and physical participation, this decision-making loop, decision-making, immediate move of the troops, and especially for troops once those areas are flooded, it's really very challenging, and physically it's very challenging for every soldier who is participating in these operations.
Marshal Said, now let us talk about the main topic we are going to discuss today, and that is the Shanghai Cooperation Organization summit meeting, which is being considered as the largest since the organization was formed in the Chinese city of Tianjin from 31st to 1st of September. Let me link the situation, because now a lot of hype is being given to Prime Minister Modi's participation. He is leaving for China on 31st, and why it is being seen in different contexts. As President Trump's doubling of is tariffs, which now amount to more than rather 50%. And India is definitely feeling the heat. Let me quote a few figures. Despite all the bravado in India, the Indian industry and Indian market is suffering hugely. India, as per estimates, India saved $17 billion by ramping up Russian oil imports. And on the contrary, Trump's new tariffs, up to 50%, as I mentioned, they are costing India $37 billion. Not a deal which is going to be a pleasant one for the Indian manufacturers and Indian exporters as well. And Modi's image in the country is definitely going to see a hit. Now he's going to China, and the kind of a posturing Indian Prime Minister has been given. There was a news in a German newspaper that Prime Minister Modi avoided President Trump's calls, though there have been no reaction in Washington as well. So linking what is happening with India vis-a-vis the 50% tariffs which have been imposed on Indian exports. Now, India is trying to get cozy with China and trying to get more friendly, despite the fact that there's a lot of mistrust between Beijing and New Delhi. How do you see it, Marshal Saeed?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, Javed Sahab, thank you for inviting on today's program. Javed Sahab, at this very moment, India is in a catch-22 situation. They had radically westernized their foreign policy, and they were trying to get closer to the West and to America. That is why they joined Quad. They became a member of the ICET, and now they were looking for, a very, very warm relationship with America and the West. But unfortunately, after the May war, India has taken a big blow. Mm-hmm. They thought that the West would be standing with them and punishing Pakistan. But good for us and bad for them that the West did not buy the lie India was trying to spend in this region. And because the West has long-lasting economic and political interests in this region, they realized that India was not a reliable partner. Now that India has had a big blow in its foreign policy, it is now trying to shore up its sins. If you remember, Javed Sahab, in the May conflict, the Indian media gave a spin to the victory of Pakistan by saying that it was not Pakistan which won the war, it was China which won the war. And now they are wanting to be best buddies with China. China, if you remember, is a very mature country. They do not react on statements or on events, and they have a long-term policy to follow. That is why recently we saw the Chinese foreign minister visiting Pakistan and India, and they ensured that India should be able to come and visit in the SCO. Now, the SCO summit provides India many opportunities. One, they can create more business for themselves over there with China, Russia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan. Now, these are all countries which can take in Indian exports. And secondly, they would like that by closing into China and Russia, these two big countries do not get too much closer to Pakistan. And they should be able to, remain close to them so that in a future conflict, these two countries do not openly side with Pakistan. So they have a lot of stakes in attending the SCO summit. SCO summit is basically for two reasons: security and economy. So India at this very moment has both these things in doldrums. Neither the security is assured at this time, and the economy, like Javed Sahab, you have said, is taking a blow now that with tariffs coming up, and today is the first day of the new tariffs it's going to be a big blow to India. But if you look at the Indian media, Javed Sahab, they're trying to give it a new spin. Instead of talking of the ill effects of the tariffs that are going to come on the economy, they are now trying to paint Modi as a hero who is standing up to the giant America. And now they are saying that, India is such a big country that even America cannot affect, our rapid growth. So these are the things through which India is going, and I think the SCO summit has a lot of potential to do good as well as bad to India.
Okay. General Zahid, let's talk about the organization itself. If you look at the SCO, China and Russia, of course, are leading this organization with an objective to provide an alternative to the international liberal order. And of course, India wasn't there. Indian Prime Minister missed the last summit, which was being held in Russia. And on the other hand, General Zahid, the organization did little to de-escalate the tensions between Pakistan and India. And of course, when the joint statement was being drafted, it failed to address the Indian concerns and Indian efforts to link Pakistan with Pahalgam. And interestingly, then SCO issued a very strong-worded condemnation of Israel's attack on Iran. You know that. And India, interestingly, once again, distanced itself from the SCO statement. This is the kind of paradoxical, hypocritical foreign policy. That is why India is being termed as a Trojan horse of SCO, as well the BRICS. So will India be trusted with the new posturing when they are feeling the heat from Washington and trying to get cozy with Beijing? But China does understand that.
But Javed Sahab, there's no doubt, we should not have any iota of doubt that India will always be, remain under suspicion. And as you said, it's a Trojan horse. It is like that. So this is not the practice of India, which is known by the Chinese and the Russians and even all members. Now this chameleon approach, this chameleon diplomacy, shifting poles, trying to create, trying to revive the politics of blocks. This has been the very character of Indian state. It's not the tactics, it's the character now, and it is very well understood. If you see in the past, China has always been had suspicions about India. In 2017, India played an important role, kind of a role in revival of this Quad, which is opposite to what SCO is. So again, with the Americans, with the help of Indians, they changed the Pacific Command to Indo-Pacific Command in 2018. Yes, in 2018. Then Kamakasa, Beka. So these all were anti-China. These were all focused at these moves, putting energy into Quad was against China to contain China. Let there be no doubt. So China has this thing in mind that they have border issues with India, and India being a hegemonic state, they have hegemonic designs, ambitions, and practically they're into it. With this RSS application, this Hindutva application, this has added fuel to the hegemonic design. So China is very much suspicious, and India has always played a role of a spoiler in SCO. You were just mentioning that they were, they didn't even sign that SCO, last time the declaration, SCO declaration, and very heuristically they said that if Indians' concerns or Indians' agendas are not in any of these statements, India will never sign that. And now Modi is going to China. So Chinese are strategic thinkers. They exactly know these spoilers, and they will be very conscious of this, that they can change post any time. And with President Trump, presidency, these things are little transitional. Nobody is going to, having a long time application carving out from the present situation with President Trump in the office. So everybody is waiting and seeing, and that's why China will, Yes, of course, China is looking after their interests. They have got an opportunity, window of opportunity created by Indo-US relations. And that too, also, Pakistan has played a role in, this pushing of these relations because of this operational Bunyanul Marsus, alhamdulillah. The Americans have understood that this is a charade, whatever is being portrayed by the India, and then now they're putting pressures. And so with this situation, probably these things are very transitional, and Chinese are extremely careful about India. And that is evident from the Chinese statement about Pakistan visit and Pakistan strategic partnership. I think that is very much evident. Now this is the visit of Prime Minister Modi's visit is, just a kind of a trying to salvage those relations, but again, not permanent salvaging of relations for a permanent, relationship. It is just a filler kind of a stuff.
Okay. Marshal, see that as being pointed out by General Zahid Mahmood that America does understand that this is the kind of a posturing. Let me quote an interview given to Fox News by the White House advisor on commercial affairs. And what he said was very interesting. He said that Modi's dollars are fueling the war in Ukraine. And, the host was a bit confused. He said, Putin's war in Ukraine? He said, no. It is Modi's war because the dollars made by Russia by exporting oil to India, which is being sold in the open market. And now these are the very dollars which are being fueling the war in Ukraine. So America is not relenting, despite the fact that Modi is trying to get cozy, trying to get comfortable with the Chinese leadership. Isn't it the case of a double standards where Modi is going to lose the trust of China as well and already have lost the trust of Washington President Trump, if you look at the situation through Trumpian lens?
You want me, Javed Saab, to answer this question?
Yeah.
Javed Saab, India imports something like 1 billion barrels per year, both in the public and the private sector from Russia. And like you have yourself given a figure of nearly $17 billion of imports. If you look at it, this oil is very important for the West. The West directly cannot buy oil from Russia. And India is one of the sources from where they can get refined oil, Russian oil. Now, this is where, the cash for America is also there, and for the West. If India stops refining of the Russian oil, then the oil in the Western countries is going to, have a surge. And if that surge takes place, then already the living in the Western society is becoming expensive due to other reasons. The living is going to become more expensive and things are going to get out of control of an ordinary man, which can, create unrest in the Western society too. So it is not only India which is in a catch-22 situation over there. It is the West also. I'm not talking of America. I'm talking of the European countries. They are also in a flux as to what to do. So I think this love-hate relationship between US and India is going to continue, but India is not going to relent on this count with America. Because if you look at the regional dynamics, it is important for India to have good relations with Russia, which is its main defense supplier, as well as China, which is its biggest economic partner. So I think India is playing its game very shrewdly, and I would say that, with the help of the media, they are trying to keep their populists, in line by telling them that Modi is a strong man and he's keeping Indian interests supreme. One other reason which goes in favor of India is that if they, these tariffs are going to adversely affect the agriculturists and the ones who make these jeans and T-shirts and other things. These industries are very subsidized by the Indian government. Now, by taking these tariffs, India is trying to give a message to its own populace also that we are safeguarding your interests. So they are playing their game very shrewdly. And though, like you said, Javed Sahab, economically it's going to hurt them momentarily, but through SCO and other forums, they are going to diversify their trade with other countries.
Okay.
There are many countries in BRICS as well as in SCO which can ensure that the negative impact which has come on Indian economy due to the tariffs with America are counterbalanced. And I would quote countries like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and others, Iran. These are the countries which can give enough business to India, and SCO becomes a forum where all these things can be talked about.
Okay.
While we are looking forward to very constructive dialogue with Russia and China at the SCO forum,
Okay.
So is India.
Okay.
If you remember, initially Modi was not wanting to go to the SCO summit, but now he is going because he realizes that he has no other option but to cozy up to the two regional countries.
Okay. Jalazad Mahmood, I have a bit of disagreement with the Marshal Said when he says that India is playing its game and cards very shrewdly. On the contrary, we'll just present a couple of facts in front of you and then we can talk about it. One, India most probably was just posturing towards President Trump that, listen, if you implement the tariffs, the 50% tariffs on Wednesday, then I've got the option of getting more friendly with China and becoming part of the, the leadership of the global South, which is being represented by Russia and China. And secondly, as I pointed out, the two important facts that gaining $17 billion and then losing $37 billion as far as the imports of petroleum products are concerned from Russia. Now, my question to you, on the other hand, you see that Washington's position, or rather President Trump's position, is getting further hardened towards India. Now their role in the Indo-Pacific region is also being jeopardized by the kind of brinkmanship which India is playing right now, getting closer to China and showing to President Trump that, look, I have got the option. If you don't, if you implement the tariffs against New Delhi, then we can go south, as the Americans say. But is it making the point? Is Prime Minister Modi making the point which he's trying to make?
No, I don't think so, Javed Sahab. People have, the countries are very much clear about the Indians' role, and they understand, as earlier I mentioned, that this chameleon approach of India cannot, now trick most of the countries. They exactly understand that whatever India is saying, it is not permanent in nature. So at the moment, they are doing this gesturing and posturing that we will pivot towards China and all that, But Americans understand. President Trump is very clear. His stick and carrot policy is very clear. So there are serious thinkings inside India also. If you listen and watch to the, the strategist, economic strategist, everybody is, cursing Modi that what was the, harm in accepting that United States of America has played a role in downplaying the escalation between India and Pakistan. So what was the harm? What pride is attached? In fact, India is being driven by the domestic, poorly crafted and poorly, implemented policies, political policies. It is all the domestic political policies which have pushed India to this extreme, that RSS and the application within India. So these are the political agendas of these political terrorists which have pushed, and now Rahul is, putting a lot of pressure on political pressure, especially once these elections are around. So this agenda has been driven from there, which is impacting their international approach, economic approach, and political military approach. And Chinese exactly know what India has in its mind. Even if today they get, inch of a space from America, they will fall back from where they had started. They have been playing a negative role. They have been an instrument of, value in containment of China. So China understands what harms India have already, given to China. But temporarily, China is taking advantage of this environment because there is a trade war also going on between China and USA. And who can predict that tomorrow US prefer having better trade relations with China than any other country in the world?
But interestingly, General Zahid, interestingly, America, President Trump, did not impose the same tariffs which were imposed on India, importing the oil from Russia. When it was asked from the Commerce Secretary, he said, well, there are two different cases. China is a different case, India is a different case. So India is being bracketed entirely differently, not being equated with China in terms of imposing tariffs as far as the Russian oil import is concerned.
Over a period of time, there is a feeling in the international strategic community that India is doing their politics and their diplomacy little oversized. They're going out of their size, and probably this is an opportunity. These power politics and the hegemons and the big power, they have their own way of dealing the world. So this oversized application by India is not augured well with the international strategic community, and that's why with President Trump, the way he behaves, he's cutting them to the size which actually they belong to. So he has this opportunity. They have embarrassed him many a time. Prime Minister Modi is personally embarrassing President Trump. That's why more than 35, 36 times he's spoken about, those aircrafts, and now those aircraft number has gone to 7, and he's talking of 150, million aircraft, which is, of course, he's hinting at Rafale. So they try to embarrass President Trump, and Trump is Trump. He's the mercurial personality, we all understand, but it doesn't mean that once he decides something, he has, look at the domestic politics inside the United States. If he can abandon Elon Musk, who has spent more than 120 million in his campaign, so he can abandon anyone. And this is how these hegemons, they behave. I think they're cutting down the size, Indian size, to the actual size which they belong to, and now probably this policy is underway.
Okay, let me go to Air Marshal Saeed. Air Marshal Saeed, if you look at the composition of SCO, of course, it is the largest organization in terms of security grouping and economic cooperation. But interestingly, if you look at the last three summits which were held in 2022, 2023, and 2024, these summits produce very lengthy declarations of intent, but little follow-up. Now, the problem with the SCO, as I pointed out to interesting contrasting behavior on part of New Delhi, that they did not sign the 2024 declaration because it failed to address Indian concerns vis-a-vis Pahalgam. And then again, in the same summit, they refused to sign the declaration on part of India because, the Israeli attack on Iran. Now, the problem with the SCO is, I'm getting back to your point that Prime Minister Modi is playing a shrewd game, but the platform is not an equal to what President Trump is doing with the world. The Trumpian era, it could be short-lived. It could be only confined to the President Trump's tenure in USA. But now, as of now, President Trump is dictating the entire world as far as trade is concerned. Now, why should Washington be, see the situation where you can create parallels that India is going the way which Washington doesn't like India to go, for example, to get closer with Beijing and become a very potent part of the SCO, which is now projecting the leadership of Global South. Global South's leadership is being projected by Russia and China, not India.
I agree with you, Javed sir, that Russia and China are the two major players in South, East and West Asia. But I would like to highlight a point here to you, and that is that in realpolitik, every country safeguards its own
Interest,
national
correct.
objectives.
Correct.
Okay, and that is true for every country, whether it is small, big, or and in any part of the world. At this very moment, all countries are, rallying themselves to what is happening to them by America. You are right in saying that, President Trump has created an environment where he's bullying his way through, right? But everyone also knows that this phase is going to be for the next 3 to 4 years. And then this phase is going to die down, and every country is now seeing that what it can do to ensure that it remains viable after the Trump era is over. I think we should not look too much into, what we are thinking of India being isolated. Remember, India is a very big country with a very big population. It has, every country in the world has economic interest with India. While China may be having a trade war with America, it makes all the more common sense for it to boost India at this time to ensure that the trade war which USA is trying to impose on the world, and especially on Asia, is nullified in this region. So, every country is ensuring that it can come up, it can come out with minimum damages on the trade war which is being imposed by America all over the world. Now, the SCO summit is, all the two major players, China and Russia, are the main targets of the tariff war. The Ukraine war, in the Ukraine war, it is Russia which has been, singled out. And by imposing tariffs on India, it is actually Russia which is being punished. Now, if you look at the Indian response, the Indian public refineries, they refuse to buy more oil from Russia. And it was something in the tune of something like $6 to $7 billion in 1 year. But the private refineries continue to do that. And when that happened, momentarily, the prices of oil in the West, they started to rise. And that is where, when there was a friction between the West and the Americans. Because it is not necessarily that all the interests of the Western countries are aligned at all the times. Secondly, India creates a lot of opportunities for people from other countries also to do business with, because they're such a big population. So I think while we feel happy that India is cornered at this very moment, my advice would be not to read too much into it and see that how can we benefit out of this situation, because this situation is going to be very momentary in terms of real politics. Mm-hmm. Right? It can be for a year or 2 years, but then, not every country can break relations with India. And remember, India for the last 20-25 years has been investing very heavily in human resource and with money into the West. They bought Rafales not because, Rafale was a very good aircraft, but because they wanted to invest into the Western defense industry.
Okay.
Similarly, President, if you allow me 1 minute, please.
Okay.
Similarly, President Trump is upset with India on they not acknowledging his part in the ceasefire in the May conflict. But he's also upset because India is not giving him business which the Americans want at this time, and that is in the U.S. defense industry. They want India to buy the F-35s, which India is not doing. And it is showing open overtures that they might go for the SU-57. Now what we are talking of is something like $7 to $8 billion of military deal only in one thing. Mm-hmm. So it is basically an economic fight which is going on between all the countries in the world now at this very moment, and also between USA and India.
Okay.
USA wants Indian business and India wants something else from USA.
Okay, I've got a couple of minutes left. I would like to go to General Zahid Mahmood. General Zahid Mahmood, if you look at the last two summits, Prime Minister Modi missed Islamabad for obvious reasons, but Prime Minister Modi didn't even go to Astana. The reason, we all know that. He didn't want to get aligned with Moscow's worldview because there China and Russia were discussing the new alternative to the liberal order which is prevailing right now. And now all of a sudden Prime Minister Modi is so enthusiastic that it was announced a month ago that Prime Minister Modi will be visiting China to participate in the SCO summit, as well going to have a meeting with President Xi Jinping. I mean, what Air Marshal Saeed is saying, of course, I agree with him that India presents one of the biggest markets as far as the Western world is concerned. But now, the major question right now is India a reliable partner in geostrategic terms, not in economic market terms? Because when it suits New Delhi to support SCO, they do that. When it supports, it does suit New Delhi or Prime Minister Modi not to support the agenda of the SCO, they refuse to sign the joint communique. So this is the kind of a paradox which Prime Minister Modi has been displaying in the past. So why should it be now different? That why should China and Russia would like to trust India that it could be a reliable partner in the SCO?
Javed sir, you have already mentioned about the past, conferences and their behavior and their delivery in SCO in the past years. Trojan horse, you yourself coined this term.
Yes.
There's no doubt that basically they were the spoilers in this, and India has played a role in reviving the Quad. Quad was, if you remember, it was probably 2007 or 9 when the Japanese Prime Minister came out with this idea. But 2017 was a watershed year once it was pitched. And this was none other than anti-China for the containment of the China in all domains. In all domains. So India has been playing that role. And then secondly, this I already alluded that this chameleon approach by India, it's no more a tactic. And people understand, Russia and China both exactly understand that this is now the very character of this state. Now, even Americans have come to know that if there is, Americans, we have been in partnership with America in all the wars, and we have seen their, the seesaw relationship. We have never been, even today, our relationship with the United States is of tactical nature, to be very honest. We are trying to convert it into a strategic partnership, but still fingers are crossed. And there's a lot of commentary in Pakistan also that we should never be compromised. And Pakistan will never ever compromise on our strategic partnership with China because of the trust which they have in us. And China has declared, even with our little warming up with United States, China has very clearly indicated that the partnership with Pakistan is of the strategic nature and it cannot be changed because of the geopolitical situation or the environment in the region or internationally. So it is not impacting. So that is the kind of a trust. Such trust or even closer to this kind of a trust can never be established between China and India, because India will never ever, India has their own designs, hegemonic designs. So maybe for some period of time they may play up with China, and yes, of course, China will also take care of their interests. They already have a better trade than us with India. So there has never been a point of concern. So as you said, in the geopolitics, the trusting India is not, it's not happening like that. But anyway, Pakistan has to take their own, our own safeguards. Pakistan has to take our own course. We need not to look at the things from the Indian prisons. We should have our own, approach. Diplomatic, political, economic, in all kinds, and especially in the security, aspect. So we will be emphasizing on the security aspects, which will be coming up in the next, this meeting. And of course, the role of this, the source of this instability in this region is only one country, and that is India. And China has problem with them. Now, Afghanistan's soil will be being used against even Russia, Central Asia. So all most of the partners in, SCO has serious concerns about India.
A certain level of mistrust on India as well.
Yes,
thank you so much.
There's no doubt. I myself has been attending the, these SCO meetings as well as the rest, that anti-terrorism conference. So I exactly know what kind of feeling they have about India. Of course, as Sir Saeed has said, that it is because of the interest, so people prefer their interest, but it doesn't mean that they don't know the very character of a state. That is very evident what they have been doing in the past, and especially with Modi, this Hindutva, this radical thinking is another, we'll be talking about extremism. So its extremism is, Hindutva extremism will be on the table.
Janazad, unfortunately, we are running short of time. We'll have to leave this discussion here. Thank you so much, Air Marshal Saeed Khan. Thank you so much, Major General retired Zahid Mahmood Sahab, and is Javed Khan Jadoon saying Allah Hafiz.